Trust in God is a recurring theme in the Scriptures, an invitation for us to surrender every step of our lives to Him. The idea that we can and should trust in God in all situations is more than a theological concept. It is a daily practice that transforms the way we live. When we rise in the morning, we have the opportunity to start the day with a prayer that reaffirms our trust in God, seeking spiritual strength to face the challenges that will come. Let us take the story of Job as an example. He faced immense losses and suffering, but even in the midst of pain, his faith never wavered. Job questioned, lamented, but also recognized God's sovereignty. He said, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted." Job 42:2. This is a powerful declaration of trust. Job did not have all the answers, but he knew that God was in control. And that trust sustained him in moments of anguish. Jeremiah, the prophet who faced countless adversities, also teaches us about surrender. His life was marked by persecution and rejection, but he did not cease to cry out to the Lord. In Lamentations 3:22-23, he writes, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Jeremiah's prayer was a reflection of his trust in God's promises. He knew that even on the darkest mornings, God's faithfulness would be there, ready to renew his strength. Upon waking, many of us face the temptation to cling to control, as if we were capable of solving all problems on our own. The truth, however, is that our strength is limited. Morning prayer is not just a ritual, but an act of surrender. It is a moment when we can place ourselves before God and acknowledge that we need Him in every step we take. When we pray, we are saying that we trust in His wisdom and in His plan for us, even when circumstances seem challenging. Letting go of control can be difficult. Life teaches us to be self-sufficient, but trust in God requires surrender. In Proverbs 3:5-6, we are instructed, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." Surrender does not mean inaction. On the contrary, it is a deliberate action of trusting that God is working in our lives, even when we cannot see the way ahead. The choice to surround ourselves with people who share the same faith is equally important. Community is fundamental. In the Scriptures, we see that Jesus always walked surrounded by disciples. The presence of people with similar values can strengthen us. When we are surrounded by friends and family who trust in God, that faith becomes contagious. They remind us that we are not alone on our journey, which is essential to keep our trust alive. On the other hand, negative influences can pull us away from this path of trust. Sometimes we let ourselves be swayed by voices of doubt and discouragement. It takes discernment to push away these influences and seek those who encourage us to believe more. The choice of who accompanies us on our spiritual journey can directly affect our ability to trust in God. Surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us to have faith and to pray is an important step in strengthening our trust. Morning prayer is the opportunity to recalibrate our mind and heart. By turning to God first thing in the morning, we can align our thoughts with His will. Prayer is not a monologue, but a dialogue. It is a space where we can bring our concerns, fears, and also our hopes. By surrendering our plans and the challenges of the day to God, we affirm that we trust in Him. This daily practice of prayer builds a solid foundation for our spiritual life. It is common that throughout the day, we are bombarded by distractions and worries. However, cultivating a habit of prayer upon waking helps us maintain focus on what truly matters. Trust in God is not a fleeting state of mind. It is a conscious decision we must make every day. A simple yet powerful phrase we can repeat in prayer is, "Lord, I trust in you with every step I take." This affirmation not only reminds us of God's presence, but also clothes us with strength. The morning is a sacred moment, a new beginning. Each day brings with it the possibility of experiencing God's goodness. When we trust in Him, we are not merely accepting things as they are, but opening space for His will to manifest in our lives. The spiritual strength we seek comes from this confident surrender, from the sincere prayer we cry out at dawn. Trust in God is not the absence of doubts, but the choice to believe nonetheless. Sometimes life can be a challenge, but it is in this space of vulnerability that we find true strength. Morning prayer is our first step toward the day, and by trusting in God, we prepare ourselves to face any adversity. Life is made up of steps, and each one can be an expression of faith. Opening ourselves to divine action in our daily lives transforms us. By starting the day with prayer, we invite God to walk with us, and that changes everything. The reflection that remains is, how can you trust God more in every step you take today? Trust in God is not just a theory, it is a daily exercise, especially in the mornings. When the sun rises, we have a new chance to surrender to Him, to be guided in every decision. It is at this moment that morning prayer becomes a powerful tool. In praying, we are not just listing requests, but establishing a relationship. It is like opening the door for God to enter and show us the way, even when uncertainties surround us. Adversities appear without warning, just like Job, who faced unimaginable losses, or Jeremiah, who suffered rejection and loneliness. We all have our own challenges. These biblical characters not only faced difficulties, they trusted in God in the midst of them. Job, in his deep suffering, never stopped believing that God had a purpose. And when things seemed dark, he exclaimed, "I know that my Redeemer lives." This unwavering trust is a powerful example. When crises arise in our lives, remember that prayer can be the anchor that keeps us steady. The spiritual strength we seek does not come only from grand moments, but from the small daily decisions. Every step we take, every choice we make, can be an expression of faith. Upon waking, take a deep breath and feel God's presence. Thank Him for another day and trust that even in the small things, He is in control. The practice of morning prayer is not an empty ritual. It is an invitation for God to manifest in our routines. By letting go of the desire to control everything, we open a space for God to work in us. It is easy to want to solve everything on our own, But that is an illusion. Surrender is an act of courage. When you surrender to God, you acknowledge that His wisdom is infinite and that our vision is limited. Sometimes, the difficulties we face are disguised opportunities. It may seem like we are sinking, but in reality, we are being shaped. Just like clay in the potter's hand, we are sculpted for something greater. Morning prayer is a moment of surrender. It is in this sacred space that we can leave our worries and fears behind. Imagine starting the day with a light heart, knowing that you are not alone. The spiritual strength you seek will not appear out of nowhere. It comes when you connect with God sincerely. It is not just about asking, but about listening. When you quiet yourself, you can feel divine direction, the gentle inspirations that can change the course of your day. And what about the community around us? The people we choose to surround ourselves with directly influence our faith. Being surrounded by those who share similar values strengthens us. On a morning when doubt seems threatening, a word of encouragement from a friend can be exactly what we need. Group prayer, for example, amplifies our spiritual strength. When we unite our voices in prayer, we create a space where God's presence becomes palpable. At the same time, we must be careful of negative influences. Sometimes, the voices we hear can pull us away from our trust in God. Do not let yourself be swayed by discouraging comments or by doubt that may arise from demotivating conversations. What you see and hear shapes your mindset. Choose to surround yourself with people who encourage your faith, who help you see God's promises amidst challenges. A morning that begins with prayer. It is a morning that opens up to possibilities. Think of a path you need to walk today. As you take the first step, do so with the awareness that God is by your side. With every action, remember that He cares about every detail of your life. It's not just about big decisions, but about every interaction, every conversation, every task that seems trivial. All of this is relevant when you choose to trust. Lastly, it is essential to remember that trust in God is a journey. It is not about a final destination, but about a continuous process. As you surrender more to Him, you will notice that spiritual strength becomes more evident. The challenges do not disappear, but the way you face them changes. Every step, even the hardest ones, can be a declaration of faith. So this morning, as you wake up and look out the window, say a prayer. Invite God to be with you in every task, in every conversation, in every decision. Let Him be your strength, your light, your guide. Trust in Him with every step you take. Life is full of uncertainties, but the certainty that God is in control is what gives us peace. Do not be afraid to let go of control. Trusting in God is the way to a life full of meaning. Trust in God with every step you take today. Trust in God is not just a beautiful phrase for difficult moments. It is a daily commitment that transforms the way we face each step. Imagine waking up every morning and handing your worries over to Him. Instead of getting up with your mind full of uncertainties, you can start the day in prayer, asking for spiritual strength. This changes everything. Instead of trying to control every aspect of your life, It's time to recognize that life is a journey in His hands. Think about your routine. As you leave home, you can say a brief prayer, something simple, like asking God to guide your decisions and give you discernment in your interactions. Trust manifests in small actions, and these actions can have an immense impact on your inner peace. When you face challenges, whether at work, in relationships, or in health, remember biblical characters who trusted in God in adversity. Job, even amidst unimaginable losses, never abandoned his faith. Jeremiah, when facing rejection and sorrow, leaned on God's promises. Just like them, you can find strength in the Scriptures. By reading a verse in the morning, you connect with divine will and strengthen your trust. It is also essential to surround yourself with people who share this faith. The influence of the environment is powerful. If you are surrounded by people who doubt, who do not believe, this can affect your trust. Choose to be close to those who uplift you, who encourage you to move forward. The faith community is an essential support. Participating in prayer groups or Bible studies can help you strengthen this connection, not only with God, but also with brothers and sisters who are on the same journey. Letting go of control is not easy. Often, anxiety leads us to want to solve everything on our own. What matters is to remember that God's will is greater than our plans. When you feel lost, stop and pray. Ask Him what you should do. The answer may not come immediately, but the simple act of seeking divine guidance is already a step in the right direction. And by doing this, you learn to trust more and more. Another important aspect is gratitude. Instead of focusing on difficulties, start thanking for the small blessings in your daily life. This changes your perspective. Gratitude opens doors to trust. When you recognize what God has already done for you, it becomes easier to believe that He will take care of your future. Try writing down 3 things you are grateful for every morning. This helps you see the positive side of life and trust more in His promises. In moments of tension, like in an important meeting or when facing a personal problem, take a deep breath and remember that you are not alone. Appreciate the idea that God is by your side, guiding every step. This awareness brings calm and security. Try, before any action, to connect with God and ask Him to help you act wisely. The morning prayer does not need to be long or elaborate. What matters is that it is sincere. Even if you only have a few minutes, use that time to open up to God. Talk about your insecurities, your hopes, and your plans. Ask Him to strengthen you and for your trust in Him to grow each day. This daily practice will help you feel that He is present in every step you take. Finally, as you navigate the uncertainties of life, remember that trust in God brings a peace that the world cannot offer. Life is filled with ups and downs, but by trusting in Him, you feel anchored. No matter how challenging the path may seem, know that each morning you can renew your trust. Do not let fear or doubt push you away. Trust in Him. With every step you take, do so with the certainty that God is by your side. And as you walk, remember, trust in God with every step you take.